All righty, Mary. It has really been a pleasure speaking with you thus far this morning, getting to know you a bit. We spoke briefly about the HR assistant role as well. Give you a little bit of background of the company as well. Mary, you have a phenomenal resume, as I
Thank
mentioned to
you.
you. Yeah, and you have extensive experience working in the human resources field as well. From what I can see here, you have well over 30 years of solid experience.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that speaks for itself.
Mhm.
Mary, I would love for you to tell me a little bit more as far as your professional experience, please.
Um, my professional experiences extends from processing medical claims, $1 million medical claims of Blue Cross and Blue Shield, medical and dental, until the president of the company, Mr. Robert Bob Gretchen, left, took early retirement, and we all got laid off. What didn't get laid off, they tried to work from home. And I started school teaching as an educator. And I figured I'd put my master's degree to work trying to teach the little one. I taught children K through 12. Didn't choose the kindergartners because they cried most of the time. I didn't understand that. By the end of the day, I was crying. I was ready to quit first day there.
Oh
And the
no.
teachers were laughing at me. They're like, she's going to make a great teacher. And I got thinking, how you know I'm going to make a great teacher? I'm too busy crying. They said, it always happens to the best teachers. So that
Oh,
happened. I taught for about 5 years and started doing working with the exceptional children, EC, autistic children, children with special needs, doing pull-ins, push-outs, and working with children, teaching ESL, SSL. Taught them everything I thought children needed: sports medicine, physical education, adapted PE, you name it. And we started as my internship. We spearheaded Special Olympics, and that's how it all got started. Actually, people don't know that, but some, I would start stuff and let other people take over, and sometimes that's what you have to do. So moving forward, I got a job. A lady saw me, saw my resume like you're doing, read my resume, came up from Georgia, and she says, God, we got to have you working at IBM. And I told her, well, I don't know if I'm going to do real well in a call center. Never worked a call center before in my life. She says, we're going to try you. She said, Miss Patterson, I think in 3 months you ought to be a manager. So I told her, okay, we'll try it. Not a problem. And the funny part of it is, she said I reminded her of her husband. And I kept thinking, I didn't know where that was going. But she said, she asked me, she said, do you love plants and flowers? And I told her, yeah. She said, so does my husband, Howard. And she says, do you pay attention to details? And I said, yeah. So she was building, I didn't know it. She summed me up based upon being married to her husband, paying attention to the details. And I saw where she was. After a while, it made sense to me. And so she says, well, we're going to hire you. And she hired me on the spot. So when I started, long story short, went to the call center, and we were collecting delinquent mortgage payments for what they call Ceteris, federal government, HUD, and Freddie Mac, and IBM at the time. But IBM was automating everything on the contract. So it was 4 companies I worked for at one time. It was IBM, Ceteris, Chase Bank, and Freddie Mac for the federal government imposing the HUD law. So long story short, I think I collected over close to $85 trillion or so in delinquent mortgage payments, just helping people try to keep and stay in their homes, real estate. So that meant I did that for every state except for California, because California laws were different. Long story short, that and Hawaii and Alaska. So I spoke with homeowners in Puerto Rico. They had some type of hurricane came through there. Can't remember what it was, maybe Michael or something back in the day. So long story short, I found myself on the telephone crying when people would call up and say, hey, my husband died. He was the main breadwinner of the household, and I'm just a housewife. And I'm going like, no, you're not just a housewife. You help take care of your husband. So they're like, well, I've never had a job. I'm like, ma'am, that is a job. No disrespect to you, not to be taken lightly as a caregiver. So long story short, I learned all of the real estate laws from state to state, except for California, Alaska, and Hawaii. I'm back to that. Collected over $85 trillion, paying attention to details in accounting. I used Lawson as some of the software applications, Citrix, you name it, Legacy, it was out there. So I'm very well versed in a lot of IBM, Microsoft software applications that different clients use. And the thing about being a consultant, you don't get any on-the-job training. You have to actually be a self-starter and be enthusiastic about the job. You have to be a problem solver. So you have to analyze what's going on with the company to come up with the goals, like a business goal for them, plans and objectives as to where they are, like point A, and you're trying to get them to Z. And you have to stick with it from the beginning to the end as a project manager. So I have had numerous consulting positions. I've done some of everything, I guess, from processing, $1 million medical claims to processing $1 million house payments to you name it. So, but do you have any questions for me, I guess? And then recruiting, I've done recruiting. I've sponsored job fairs just to get back to this job a little bit. I have worked with people to help them get jobs. I love helping other people gain gainful employment. It's not easy being a consultant. It's not easy working temporary jobs because you go in, you meet so many different people. By the time they get to know you, it's time to go. And it's never a dry eye in the building. They're crying. And there's no easy way to say goodbye, to be honest with you. So they tend to still keep up with me and keep in touch, that sort of thing. And I stay in touch with them. But as time goes on, because you're meeting so many different people, you try not to get too close to people, try not to let them get too close to you, to be honest with you, because you're there to do a job and to stay focused to get that job completed. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that was very well spoken, Mary. You gave me a direct outline as far as what you have done and how you got there. You mentioned the recruiting as well. I want to speak a little bit upon your human resources experience. I know that you've worked at US Tech Solutions as a human resources manager. But with that, you also mentioned that you've handled the recruitment. Tell me how that looked like.
For Bridgestone, my contract was thrown by US Tech Solutions for Bridgestone Americas. That contract, as I stated before, started off as 3 months. It got extended to a year. My goal and objective for that particular company was to hire over 1,000 employees. All right. So it was very extensive. I knew I couldn't do it in 3 months' time based upon what the executive management team needed. I was one of the executive managers. I didn't go to a lot of the meetings because I needed my time to recruit people, right? To do I-9 background checks, things of that nature, and to create retention reports for them to see. They were like, we don't understand why the people were quitting. I spoke with the plant manager, advocated for pay increase for the employees, safer work environments. So I began an OSHA training class for them so that way they could wear their PPE, the eye protective ears for sounding, their steel-toed shoes, gloves, safety gloves, things of that nature. So I saw where there's always room for improvement, even with me in anything. Nobody's perfect. I don't care how people think, oh, I've got, I'm this perfect person. No, what it was I incorporated, I believe in being a team builder. So when I go in, I even do it at home. Before you know it, I'm giving everyone something to do because there's always something to do, whether I do it or not. I just know I let other people do what they're good at. They don't know they're good at it, but I'm going like, hey, you mind doing so? And they're great at it, So I have learned over the years, I don't have to do everything. I just have to know who can do what, when, and that's the good thing about being in these positions and being as an HR director. I did my internship while I was going to graduate class with North Carolina Central University, working for the state of North Carolina. I did my apprenticeship there for my master's degree. But prior to that, I used to run my own construction business with my partner. My co-partner passed away, and we did concrete. We did, customized concrete. We did designing patios, designing walkways, designer driveways for people with lots and lots of money. So that worked out really well. The money was good and great when it lasted. Is all I can tell you. We lived a great life is all I can tell you there too. But like I say, we would hire people and then put people in place to train them, like shadow a person to give them the job skills that they needed. So I have learned that Even with this last position, like I say, long story short, I traveled to do 2 job fairs with the nearby city of Henderson, with the NC Works, North Carolina Works staff there. And they had a staff of about 5 or 6 people. We put them all to work. They helped collaborate the dates and times for us to come in and do the job fair. The first job fair was overwhelming for us because 300 people showed up at one time. I wasn't expecting that big of a turnout for people looking for jobs, looking for work in a manufacturing warehouse setting. So, like I said, it caught us off guard, myself and my colleague and the people there, the staff there at NC Works. So we thought, okay, how do we do this better? So with that, the first group came by. I started having them write down their name, emails, telephone numbers, best contact. And I called every person that showed up to that first job fair to get them in for a job interview, because I didn't want to miss anyone, first of all. And I wanted everyone to have the same equal opportunity for gainful work, real job, right?
Yes.
So the second job fair we did, 500 people showed up, and I thought, where are these people coming from? I just did not know. Couldn't get a handle on it, and thought, okay. So in order for us not to be overwhelming, we learned from the first job fair to play musical chairs with the people. We put them in one room. We showed them what the company was about, gave them a background, like a seminar, teaching them, hey, this is what we do at Bridgestone. They make tires, blah, blah, and you work with chemicals. And these are the things you're going to be up against before you take this job. So what we were doing was we were weeding people out to see if they really, really wanted to work in this type of background. Do they want to go home every day in a dirty uniform? Can they deal with the heat of the environment of the automated machinery and then the heat sometimes, because it's summertime, that warehouse would get up past 150 degrees. So we were looking for people that were going to have that resilience, right? And that stick-to-itness to work in this type of environment. And then we did what they call physical assessments and physicals, where they physically able to handle this particular job, this type of grueling work. So we looked at everything, overall. We're looking at the person overall, their personality, how well they get along well with other people, because we had, like on every job, you're going to have people that get stuff started. I don't care where you go. I don't care who you call them by name. They're going to keep, I call them the drama kings and queens. They're going to keep stuff going. I don't care where you put them. They just have a different name, different people. So at any rate, I was looking for those qualities and those skills in that skill set in these people that I was interviewing. How well do they get along with their colleagues? If someone says something wrong to them, are they ready to retaliate, go to the car, come back with type of weaponry? These are things you're looking for to keep everyone in the building safe. What are these triggers? What triggers you when you're on a job? So when you're interviewing with people, I look for what I call soft skills. Do they smile? First they're nervous because they're talking to you. You're asking them all these questions. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me what you did on your last job. I get it. But once, as you're asking questions, I would throw something in like, what are your hobbies? And they start smiling. I'm going something off the grid of the interviewing questions. I stuck to my script, but I will always ask them something else too, like, what are your hobbies? Because I think that tells you sometimes a little bit about a person. They'll tell you, oh, I like to go fishing, or I like to travel, I like to cook, so I love music. So you learn these little things about people and you go like, okay. And then do no disrespect, do you have any children? These are things that shape people, because you're trying to see, if there's anything that would cause them to be late for work, even though you can't come right down and ask them that question,
right.
These are some things you're asking. Okay, they go, yeah, I just had a child. Then you go like, congratulations. Yes, I just got married. Okay, so now you have a husband or a wife, or a father. So now you've got a responsible person. Now you have someone that has a reason to come to work, right? They're just not living at home with mom and dad, pick a job and go like, okay, I'll show up whenever I get ready. Now you're looking for this drive, right? Which is going to cause them some type of drive to be willing to come to work. What makes you get up in the morning? What makes you want to go to work?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you with that,
Mhm.
Mary. And
Mhm.
you have provided me with phenomenal insight to your background.
Well, thank you
And
so much.
of course, of course. And you've touched a little bit as far as my question, you touched base on basically little questions that I had for you, right?
Mhm.
Systems that you have used, the interviews, the onboarding process. Have
Right.
you done job fairs as well, the
Mhm.
interviewing, etc. So my question, just a few more questions here.
Okay.
Tell me, what are your hobbies, Mary?
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad you asked me. I like to travel. I love
Oh,
music. I love spending time with my family. As crazy as they may be, they say I'm the craziest one of the family because I'm more of a, what do you call it, spontaneous person, I guess. Like if someone says, I'm going to go in here and cook you a meal, I'm going like, okay, go for it. They go like, oh, I can't believe she turned them loose in the kitchen. I'm like, yeah, let's see what they can do.
nice.
Um, but those are some of the things that I like and I enjoy. I just enjoy family time. And when I say family, we have a whole host of friends, quote unquote. They say they're friends, but they're family because they've been around us so long. We just incorporate them, and now they're all family. So my son used to tell me, he says, "Mom, it's not necessarily the family that you're born into." And he's right. I used to always try to understand this. He says, "Mom, it's the family that you build." So we've got this
Oh,
huge built more family, if you will, of
that's
people that we built and
amazing.
incorporated and indoctrinated into our family. Yeah. Mhm.
It's good to have community around you and support. I think that's always needed. So completely agree with you with that, Mary. Tell me, Mary, when are you looking to start a new role?
I'm going to say as soon as possible. I would say today, but I'm going to go out and go for my walk and my jog to
Yeah,
try to
no
get some
worries.
exercise in and fresh air. But
Absolutely.
I think because it's close to the Christmas time, a lot of
Mhm.
people don't like to hire people around the Christmas time. They generally like to wait like till the first of the year. So I'm flexible.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And do you have any vacation time coming up? I know the holidays are coming up, but looking to go anywhere?
No, not really. My
No.
brother has been coming here from Stafford, Virginia, because we
Oh,
just moved into our new apartment here. We were supposed to be, our move didn't go well. We actually were supposed to move into a house, and the realtors didn't pan out too well. Not to put any blame on anyone, it just didn't work out. So we moved into another apartment. This was like our backup plan. And my brother came from Virginia, Stafford, Virginia, to help us move in. So but we may
oh,
go spend time with my brother in Stafford, Virginia, and take in Virginia Beach while we're at it.
there
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
Mhm.
Is it cold out there in North Carolina? I would assume so.
We have bipolar weather here, is what I call it.
Okay.
One day it's hot, the next day it's cold. We don't really know how to dress, to be honest with you. But I'm
Gotta take
hoping
a
the
nice
weather
shower.
will level out. I'm praying for snow, actually. I would love
Oh,
to have
really?
snow. Yes.
Oh,
We haven't
no.
had snow in a long time. I kind of want some snow. But where you are, my sister always tried to get me to move to Florida. She's like, I don't know why we're seeing North Carolina. But she loved that year-round weather. She didn't have an overcoat. So every time she came home, she had always buy a jacket.
Oh,
So
no.
for yeah. Mhm.
Oh, well, hopefully you guys get some snow. That's what you want.
That's what I want. I got my fingers crossed. People don't know it. I'm
Yeah.
looking for a nice bright pink sky.
They're gonna
Yeah,
look at you and be like, it's your fault, Mary.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
Mary, it has been a pleasure speaking with you thus far.
me
I will go
too.
ahead and stop the recording, and then you and I will continue speaking off the grid here.
All right, great.